Do you think your business idea requires artificial intelligence? If you're planning to create a so-called big data startup, maybe a comparison tool or something that uses predictions or machine learning, yeah, that's definitely a data-driven startup and you will need AI. But how do you make that happen, especially if you're not familiar with the tech? Well, let's break down what you'll need. Welcome, I'm Michi, content director and co-founder at MyCTOfriend, where founders come to learn how to build their tech startup. We've actively helped over 200 startups by now, and with this Startup Snack series available in both video and podcast form, we want to share the essentials with you, so that building your dream becomes just a little bit less overwhelming. And artificial intelligence is one of those topics where non-tech founders might feel immediately out of their depth. Most of the data-driven startups we've coached have focused on things like analyzing open data, comparing it, or working out valuable insight from it. If you're interested in doing something along those lines, then there are 4 components you'll need to develop. First, it's the database, where all the information is stored. You will have to have your own, so you'll need a developer to create one for you. A good tip for this is that you should make sure it has an updated date field. So a field where you keep track of when that specific piece of information was updated last. That way, your algorithm will know if your data is outdated or not. So after you get your database, you need to fill it up with something, and that's the purpose of component number 2, to gather and sync data. There are specialized tools for this called ETL, which stands for Extract, Transform, and Load. That's exactly what they do. They extract information and data from whichever sources you'd like. They transform all of that unstructured information into data formats that are easier to interpret, and then they load it up wherever you want. ETLs are used all over, but in this case, you would need to gather information from the web, convert it to something readable, and store it up on your own database. This process is referred to as batch synchronization, and that's just because the script can be set up to run hourly or daily, so you have a fresh batch of information every time it runs. Now, this is often built using Python, and most cloud providers like Google Cloud, AWS, Azure, IBM, they provide their own version of an ETL. All right, now that you can gather data, process it, and store it on your database, you'll want to interact with it, and for that you'll need a business intelligence tool, which lets you basically play around and experiment without actually having to develop. You can imagine new features, compile data, calculate results, create charts, dashboards, whatever your heart desires. There are a bunch of tools like this, available like Google Data Studio, Tableau.com, AWS. You can look them up. Honestly, you can get away with using just these 3 components at the beginning, and I would even recommend it instead of developing something from scratch. By doing so, you don't have to invest a lot of money up front, just, monthly subscriptions, and you can still get a good semi-personalized functionality out of it. Like you can control which of your clients gets access to which data, for example. So, after you've experimented with features, gotten some customers, and have eventually grown out of your business intelligence tool, you'll be ready for component number 4, which is your own dedicated application or web platform. It's just a more elaborate, expensive, elegant version of the business intelligence tool. And it does the same thing, connecting to your database and letting you interact with the data directly. But of course, it also allows you a bit more functionality, it's more professional looking and user-friendly for your customer. However, even after you develop your own product, the business intelligence tool is still perfect for prototyping and a huge help in working out new features for future versions because it's just way easier and faster than coding. It works pretty much like a spreadsheet with drag and drop. So, to review, the 4 steps and components you need to build an AI startup are a dedicated database, a synchronization script or ETL, business intelligence tool, both to get started providing your product or service and later on to prepare new features, and last but not least, your own application. Now, one thing to note is that this won't be a one-person job. You will need at least 2 providers for the whole thing. At the beginning, you can get away with just one provider for the data side of things, the first 3 components, And then when you're ready to grow and have your own application, you'll need a second provider for that, because these two encompass totally different types of work and skill sets. All right, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. I hope that was clear. If you enjoyed learning with us and want to see more, consider subscribing. Help us spread the word by hitting the like button and by sharing with your entrepreneur friends. If you have any questions or want to suggest a topic, feel free to comment down below. And you can also check out our website to learn more about our coaching program and how you can join.